Hi, today I'm going to show you how to break into Kioptrix level 1.2, also known as Kioptrix 3. If you want to see Kioptrix 1 or 2, I have videos for those, and I'll be doing 4 and 5 as my next videos. As always, I'll show you how to get root access to the machine while giving you an explanation of each step. The purpose in these videos is to show you why I do something, not just how I do it, and so hopefully you'll be able to take that and apply it to your own hack-the-box type challenges. Let's get started. As usual, we start by identifying our network and our target machine. We can use ifconfig to find our host machine's IP address, and then we can use nmap to scan that network. We can see that we have a host IP address of 10.0.2.25, so let's run nmap 10.0.2.0/24. We can see that our target machine has an IP address of 10.0.2.28 and has ports 22 and 80 open. Now, the description for this machine told us we would need to modify our hosts file, so let's do that now. Use the command sudo nano /etc/hosts. This lets us edit the normally read-only hosts file using the text editor nano. Use the arrow keys to navigate down to a new line and type in the IP address of the target machine, in my case 10.0.2.28. Hit tab to keep it neat, and add the domain name kioptrix3.com. Hit Ctrl X to exit, Y to save, and Enter to confirm file name. Now that that is done, let's check out our web page. Go to your browser and enter 10.0.2.28. It opens up a page called LiGoat Security. There is a link that takes us to a gallery full of goat pictures, a tab that takes us to a blog, and another tab for a login page. Next step is to do some directory enumeration and see if there are any hidden pages that might be useful. Let's use dirb because it's quick and simple. Use the command dirb http://10.0.2.28. It doesn't find a whole lot, but it does reveal a phpMyAdmin page, which is a graphical user interface for interacting with MySQL, so this will be useful later if we can find any database credentials. For now, if we look back at our GotGoat security login page, we can see that it has a note saying proudly sponsored by Lotus CMS, so we're going to look for an exploit using Metasploit. Load up Metasploit and use the search command with the term Lotus CMS. It's only got one option, so let's give that a try. Use the command use 0 to select that exploit, then use the show options command to see what needs to be configured. First, let's give it the address of the target machine using set rhosts 10.0.2.28. Next, let's set the URI to root by using set URI /. This tells Metasploit that we want to serve the payload from the root directory of the web server. Finally, when I was doing this machine originally, I had problems using the default payload, so I had to use a bind shell. You can see a list of all available payloads with the show payloads command. To choose one, use the command set payload and then your chosen payload. In this case, generic/shell_bind_TCP. Once that's all done, use the exploit command to run it. Once that is done, the first thing we want to do is give ourselves a proper shell to work with. Let's use the command shell and then use Python to spawn a bash terminal. This command is incredibly useful, and you want to have it memorized or written somewhere where you can copy and paste it. We now have access as a web user, so let's take a look around. Use the cd command to change directories. In this case, I want the home directory. Use the ls command to show files and directories. We have 3 directories, dreg, lone ferret, and www. Let's go to the lone ferret directory and list the contents. Use the cat command to view the readme file. It tells us that we can edit, create, or view files using the command sudo ht, so let's give it a go. It's asking us for the sudo password, which we don't have yet, so let's leave it for now. We know that there is a MySQL database because of the phpMyAdmin page we found earlier, and that might have some user credentials for us to try. So let's try to find some credentials that will let us access the database. Databases will typically have a config file which includes login credentials, so let's have a look for it. Navigate back to the web folder using cd. Now, use the command locate config.php to see where that file is. We see that it is in the gallery subdirectory of the Kioptrix 3 web directory, and the file is called gconfig.php. Let's use cat to read it. Sure enough, we now have a username and password for MySQL. Let's go back to our phpMyAdmin page and enter our newfound credentials. On the top left, you can see the different databases. Let's select Gallery. Next, it will give us a list of available tables, so let's select Dev Accounts. Finally, along the top is a list of tabs. We want to select Browse to view what's in that table. It shows us that there are two users, Dreg and LoneFerret, and shows us the password hashes for each. Let's see if we can find out what plaintext passwords these hashes correlate to. There are a couple of ways to do this, the easiest being copy and paste the hashes into a website like CrackStation, but I figured I'd show you a different way. First, we want to identify the type of hashing algorithm. We can use the HashID software to do this. Use the command hashid -m and then copy and paste the hash. The -m will tell hashid to give us the hashcat mode number, which we will use in a minute. It outputs a whole lot of possible hash algorithms, but the most likely is going to be that MD5 hashcat mode 0 up the top. Let's run it through hashcat and see what happens. Use the command hashcat -m 0 -a 0, the hash number, rocku.txt. The -m is the hashing mode, which we know is 0. The -a is the attack mode, for which 0 is the default. Rocku.txt is a commonly used password list that it will check against. I have a copy of Rocku in my home folder, but if you don't, you will need to specify its location when you run this command. Finally, because I have run this command when I broke into this machine the first time, I'm using the --show command. We see that the password for the Dreg user is master with a 3 substituted for the E. Now, let's repeat the process for the other hash. We can see the password for LoneFerret is Star Wars. Let's try to connect to the target machine via SSH using these credentials. Use the command ssh loneferret at 10.0.2.28. Say yes to the prompt and enter the password Star Wars. The first time I tried this, I encountered an error stating no matching host key type found. I was able to get around this by configuring my SSH settings, and I'll put a link in the description on how to solve this issue if it happens for you. Now that we are logged in as LoneFerret, let's try running the sudo ht command from earlier. It gives us an error. This one took some googling, but you can solve the issue by using the command export term, all capitals, equals xterm, all lowercase. Basically, this means that any program running in this terminal will now behave as if it is running in an xterm compatible environment. Try running sudo ht again. ht is a text editor, though one I had never seen before this machine, and because we were able to run it as sudo, we can now edit any file we like. Hit F3 and type /etc/sudoers and hit enter. This lets us edit the permissions of users, so let's navigate down to LoneFerret and add /bin/bash to the end of that line. In other words, I want to be able to open a bash terminal as sudo from the LoneFerret user without needing to enter a password. Hit F2 to save and Ctrl+C to exit. Now, let's try it. Type sudo /bin/bash. We are now root. Use cd to change to the root folder, ls to list contents, and then cat the congrats.txt file. So, in summary, we used nmap to scan our network for the target machine, accessed the target's web server, used Metasploit to search for and upload an exploit, did some manual enumeration to search for database credentials, used hashcat to decrypt user credentials within that database, used SSH to remote login into the target machine, and then exploited the HT text editor that we could run as sudo in order to be able to give ourselves permission to open a bash terminal as sudo. I hope you found this video helpful, and until the next one, good luck with your own hacking exploits.